Tomes. As usual, we are your hosts, Cody and Jason,
Hi.
and we're excited to bring you another episode of our book club podcast.
Woohoo!
But yeah, before we get into that, we're going to talk a little bit about some news, some fantasy, sci-fi news and such that's been going on, and a couple shameless plugs, things like that.
Yeah, you know the usual stuff.
Yeah. Do you want to start with the news?
Yeah, we can start with the news. I'm just trying to think where to begin with this. I'll start with the lighter stuff. Like some animes that have just now started since, again, it's been a couple weeks since we've been able to sit down and talk. Rurouni Kenshin, Jujutsu Kaisen, basically the, I want to say summer anime season has officially kicked off. So a lot of those shows that were scheduled for summer, end of July, yeah, they're coming out now. So again, I'm excited just because I loved Rurouni Kenshin, including the original art style, but now with the updated art style, it just looks so good.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. I really enjoyed that series as well.
Just because, again, I like the take on it of just like, yeah, a samurai who was quite literally one of the best killers has now taken an oath of nonviolence.
Yeah,
And I just love his
it's
character. It's so good.
it is, and it's one of the few adaptations that turned out really well.
Yeah, one of the few live action adaptations that are just phenomenal all across the board.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Actually, I did remember just one more new announcement because so I discovered with YouTube Premium, they have movies like again, and actually even with YouTube, you can watch movies with ads with it that are free. But if you have YouTube
Okay.
Premium, you don't get any ads, so it's just a free movie. So I was watching the original Godzilla movie from 1956 and
Okay.
so after I finished the first one, I was like, "Okay, moving on to the next one." And I saw announcements. Basically, it's the DC's next like arc or like story they're trying to do.
Uh-huh.
Justice League versus the MonsterVerse of like Godzilla, King Kong.
Yes.
One part of me is like, "This is ridiculous." Other side of me is like, "I can't help but be curious."
Yeah. I think it's gonna be great. I think it's gonna be absolutely hilarious, but not intentionally so.
It's like going to be Deadpool versus the Marvelverse. It's going to be that kind of level of just like, again, this isn't like canon. This is just a fun story we're telling because what if?
Yep.
And I'm all for it because at the very end of it, it has a picture of Superman facing off against Godzilla, and I'm just like, they, they, they have got. I'm a huge Godzilla fanboy, so I'm like a childhood.
I've enjoyed Godzilla, but it's never been my thing.
For
I'm
For me as a
Go
kid,
ahead.
the main thing that got me into it was a video game. It was Godzilla Destroy All Monsters, where it's all the monsters in the Godzilla universe and you fought them like in Super Smash Bros. But you can actually like you're using the townscape as weapons as well. Like you can pick up a building and chuck it at a monster.
Yeah.
Like that's what started, and I'm just like, and I got so curious. This was back in the days of Blockbuster. I remember we actually had a babysitter who would take us, and I would just grab the Godzilla, any Godzilla film I could find,
Yeah.
and so that's why for me, I have that kind of love and tender connection to Gojira.
I completely understand that. For me, I watched King Kong a lot growing up.
Okay,
I saw quite a few of those, and so I was always interested in like the King Kong versus Godzilla movie. I think I saw it, but I don't remember for sure. I might have just seen clips from it.
mm,
But that was kind of my first introduction to Godzilla was Godzilla versus King Kong because I grew up on the other side.
okay. I just think it's funny on how that one they actually have two versions: one where King Kong wins, one where Godzilla wins.
Yes, they had to appease everybody and nobody.
They're just like, you know what? Go with your fandom.
Yep. That's smart though. It's
It's
a really smart way to
Oh
do
yeah,
it.
no, you double your profit.
Yeah. Because people see one version and go, I wonder what it'd be like in the other. Oh, hey, look.
Yeah, Godzilla just turns his head and shoots.
Yeah.
Uh,
So any other news that you want to talk about?
I'm struggling coming up with one. So go ahead and talk
You're good.
the news.
So the first one for me is the Star Wars Ahsoka comes out next month. The final trailer dropped. I'm it spoiler alert. It has Anakin in it as a Force ghost, and it looks really good. I'm really excited for it. It's all about Thrawn. This entire Ahsoka series is about Thrawn,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to culminate. I've talked about before, but culminate to the movie, and I'm so excited for that. I feel like it's going to be. I feel like the Ahsoka series, while it's about Ahsoka, is going to be like Avengers Infinity War,
Okay.
where Thrawn will be the protagonist and Ahsoka's basically be the antagonist of it, where it's Thrawn's story.
I love
Like this is Thrawn's story.
I love how you flipped it. It's just like, oh, Ahsoka's the antagonist.
Well, yeah, because so protagonist and antagonist isn't always good guy, bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's who's the main character of the story and who's trying to stop them.
Yeah.
And that's really what it comes down to. And so, like in Infinity War, that movie is Thanos' movie.
Mm-hmm.
And the entire time, the Avengers are the antagonists of that story, trying to stop them.
Okay.
And they fail.
Okay.
But I feel like that's what Ahsoka's going to be.
Okay. Yeah, no, I like that idea. Just because, again, I'm a huge Thrawn fanboy. Because, sorry, I read all of, like, Heir to the Empire. Again, I love the expanded universe or Star Wars Legends at this point. It's just, oh, it's so good.
And this is where I love Dave Filoni is, and he's
He's
titling the movie as Heir of the Empire,
Mhm.
and that's been the key phrase used throughout all the trailers. Is Thrawn's returning as the heir of the Empire.
Yeah.
And he's pulling from that, and I think you'll really enjoy it. I don't think you need to see any of the previous series, Mandalorian, all that, to watch this. And so if you like, this is one that I would like to do a video on.
Okay.
Like, and sit down and do the episodes on.
Okay. Yeah, we can do it. We'll give it yeah, let's do it. Okay.
Yes.
You're like, yes! Getting the Star Wars fanboy back into Star Wars.
Oh, I'm just excited. I've been really excited for this. I know a lot of people aren't. I am. But I personally am.
Mm-hmm. Which, speaking of hot takes, we can move over to Wheel Time.
Yes.
Okay, so I just want to cover this real quick. So earlier last week, the Will Time trailer came out for season 2, and again, because I've been noticing that that's actually how we get a lot of our channel viewership is through these trailer reactions. And again, I give just my candid take, and most of this is a first time watch through. And again, this is the one thing I do want to stress: commenters, you did a great job. You did fantastic. You called me out on my bull crap. I'm good with that. Like, this is where, again, me and Cody, we're human. We're not going to notice every detail. We do not know everything. We have our own take. We have our own views. We have our own opinions. And main thing we ask is value our opinions, and we will 100% value your opinions. Because I remember one comment that actually made me rethink it to this whole thing to myself. He's just like, interesting take. So he starts off with the first good step in psychology is you affirm the other person's opinions, and then you go in and explain yours. And what he even had a quote from Brandon Sanderson is just like, treat this series as if it's another turning of the wheel. Which made me go, okay, I have read all the books. I know what that phrase means, because basically the whole thing with the wheel time is like, events will start and end again. This is just a never-ending loop. It will take eons for us to get back to the same point, but we will get back to the same point. But it can be different. So having Sanderson, like him quoting Sanderson back to me, at first I was like, oh, you used my favorite author against me. But
you dare use my own spells against me, Potter.
But at the end of it, it made me really have to think about it. It made me really had to open my viewpoint. I was just like, you know what? I have been very harsh on this series, and I need to, you know what, take a step back and have that perspective going into this and view it as a different turning of the wheel. Now, I will still point out the differences from the book to the series, just because that's what makes these podcasts or these reviews go places and gives us talking points. But I will do what I can to hold my criticism until I see the whole thing and actually get a better perspective. And I will share my opinion on it. And now my opinion is not law, it's not fact, it is just that. It's an opinion. And we value yours. We're open for discussions, and that is our main purpose and drive for this podcast channel. Is we want to drive these discussions. We want to have these discussions because they're fun, they're enlightening, and I feel like we can get a lot more people kind of on the same page, or even if we have differing opinions, a form of mutual respect.
Definitely. 100% agree with that. And I'm actually really excited to see the season 2 now. Because I didn't think of it that way either. And I'm not huge on Wheel of Time, so I really wouldn't have thought of it that way. But you talking about it and going over that, I thought it was really cool. And it could be a different way, and we'll try it out.
Like, this is where, again, Wheel of Time, at least again, I think started the video off saying I'm up for a redemption story. I just don't feel like Rings of Power can do that. Which I think, which again, and for me, I think this is where Rings of Power might have done Wheel of Time some good, because like this is how bad we can really be to the source material. Wheel of Time's not that bad.
No, it's not.
It's to the point where I'm like, you know what? I might just rewatch it and going from that point, and instead of like nitpicking, I'll use the nitpicks as a discussion point, but not use it as against Wheel of Time, this series.
Yeah.
So I'll try doing that from going forward. So commenters, you do have an impact on people.
For better or worse.
For better or worse. If you're just a troll, we're not paying your fee.
You're welcome all the same.
All right. So do you have anything else for
one last thing?
Okay.
Yes, the strike is still going with Hollywood.
Yes.
One of the things I had saw, it just came out like a week or so ago, is that Stranger Things season 5 might be delayed till 2025 due to this strike. So kind of sad day. I was really looking forward to that this next year, but one more year.
Yeah, and okay, so this is the take on the strike. This is the facts I've been hearing about, been told about, what's been going on. So one of the key things where I'm on board with the strike is, again, we talked about this in podcasts before about artificial intelligence, how what Hollywood is wanting to do for background actors is do a body scan, pay them for 1 day of working, and then they will have their body scan for forever. They can use it wherever they want, whenever they want, in whatever movie they want, and they do not have to charge the person anything. Which that is just horrendous. And actually, Sean Astin is one of the big spokesperson for SAG-AFTRA, because SAG-AFTRA is now on strike with all this. And for me, I'm just like, when you got Samwise Gamgee, passionate, okay, you got to root for them. But, and so one of the things I actually saw today is the fact that like Netflix and a lot of these other bigger companies are actually hiring, like I put out a job search for someone to teach AI the stuff they need to know so they can replace jobs.
Okay.
Which that's just, it's just not good.
So what do you think a middle ground is for that? Because to be frank about it, looking at it from a business side of things, that's really smart. It cuts down on costs. You can produce a lot more stuff with a lot more things, with a lower cost to it all. But what do you think? Yes, it's messed up, it's callous, but it's business.
Yes, and this is where, okay, from business standpoints, there are ways to use it. I think the middle ground is not doing the body scans. I think that is like the biggest heck no.
Okay.
Just because, like, again, if you're wanting to do body scan and you pay the actor just for from this time to this time frame, we'll pay you for that amount of work that a normal actor would get, or even cut down on a little bit of the cost because they don't have to be there. because I know part of the actually, nah, never mind, scratch that part. Uh, but just being able to use this person's image in a film with only using one body scan, and just using it just all the way till AI dies, which is never. But they only get paid that one time. There needs to be a middle ground. You could do a discounted payment, or at least pay that, like, do a payment for for the first 5 years, like, just get something, or even have it be like the same as some of the copyright infringement stuff. Like, actually, not copyright infringement, copyright, what is it? Royalties, and it can be in this way until up till 70 years, which is when it hits public domain. If they approach it that way, that would be a little bit more of a middle ground. Is because again, think of it even in singing terms. In order for a music to get played on a show, they have to pay a mechanical license. Even if it is they have to pay a license to play the song, or a mechanical license if you want to make a cover of that song.
Yes, it's a royalty fee.
It is a royalty fee. So there needs to be some type of royalty going into, if they're wanting to do these body scan kind of things, and only do it for X amount of time, not forever, not in perpetuity.
I agree. So I was thinking the exact same thing, and that was my thought with it, and I was trying to steer you towards it.
Yeah.
But it's that side of things where them doing that helps both people. Yes, they only have to do the work for one day, but then they get paid that one day for the work they do, and then they get royalty on top of it. Same as an artist, they produce a song, people want to play that song, they get paid a royalty for it. Mm-hmm. It's not the same as them going to a concert and performing it live. Mm-hmm. They get paid a lot more for that. So if this actor goes and does something live and acting with it, he gets paid more, or she gets paid more.
Yeah.
But with the body double, I think that's a good middle ground, and I think that could solve a lot of the problems. Not everyone will be happy, but I think that's a good way for both the business to make more money and to be able to still have these actors getting the money they deserve for what they do.
Yeah, it's definitely needs to have that royalty segment and part of it, because here's the other hard part of it. Because again, I've seen this on TikTok, and actually I've gotten a couple laughs out of it. They're using AI to do covers of songs. Like, I saw one of like Eric Cartman singing, what is it? I don't know why. Every Time We Touch. That's the name of the song.
Every Time We Touch also is done. Bring Me to Life, Evanescence.
Yeah. Well, there was actually a voice actress. She is actually the one that got me into voice acting. I can't remember her name, which is why I feel bad. But she is actually the voice of In Your Lie in April, Cowrie, in the English dub. She did a panel, and she had she got her voice basically stolen for a cover, and she was not given really any credit, was not given anything, no royalties, and there's absolutely nothing she can do.
Yeah.
That's where this is where AI is hurting people. So there needs to be a royalty, or at least a way for us to have copyright on our personal stuff, from our voice to our bodies.
I agree with that. 100%.
So anyway, I think that's a good wrap up of just like that part. Because seriously, we always do this. We go into these conversations about AI so much because it is so prevalent in today's society.
It is, but it's also fun to discuss, and it's something that's prevalent, like you said. So
yes.
But you said we can wrap that up, and we move on to our main segment for today, which is The Shadow of What Was Lost by James Islington. And this was chapters 35 through 39.
Yep, 35 through 39. You stop at chapter 40.
Yes, I wanted to read chapter 40 so bad.
Oh, dude, in my mind's eye, okay, to be honest, I'm only operating in the past 3 days on a grand total of like 18 hours of sleep, okay? So
Yep.
So my brain functionality, I got to the end of that. I was like, you know what? That's actually a good stopping place for a minute.
Oh, it's a great stopping point,
It.
but I'm so excited for what comes
Oh, me
next.
too. We're finally getting to the point where we're ramping up. We're ramping up.
Oh yeah.
And bruh, dude, oh my gosh, I cannot wait for us to talk about Melshash. Oh, that is just so good.
It was so good. And that's what the vast majority of these chapters is Davian and Melshash. I think one chapter for Asha and
One
then one
chapter.
chapter for Kaden.
Caden and
And
Were.
yeah, Kaden and Were, which was one chapter
Yeah.
together. And then one chapter for Asha, and then 3 chapters of Davian and Masha.
And oh my gosh, I loved it.
Melshash.
And
I
one
meant.
of the complaints I had in the back of my mind, got addressed. Sort of like, oh that, I love it. So let's hear. Let's dive on in chapter 35. Well,
Yes.
again, let's cover it like Davian Melsash, and then we'll jump to Caden and Were, and then we'll finish it with Asha.
Should we do Kaden and Were and Asha first? Because they're kind of the smaller
Yeah,
portions.
you know what? Let's do that. I like that. Let's do it
Okay.
because Davian and them is a huge chunk, and that
Yeah, and it's hard to separate everything.
it is. So chapter
So
36 then is where we start off with
yes,
Were. Which, if anything, where it's just like, okay, where he's dreading going back to court.
well, it's not just going back to court; it's going back to an old life, restrictions. I am all the things that he's really learned to love. Is he feels like it's being taken away from him.
Yeah, the life that he so long like dreamt of and now cherishes, he's having to give up. He's having to move on
Yeah.
in.
The whole thing with Dezia and how he knows that they're not going to be able to be together. But I love how her first saying is, well, we might accidentally run into each other and no one can stop us accidentally running into each other.
And I love how he just like he tries to stifle a grin. He's just like, yeah, you're right.
Plans have been made. Yeah, it was good. It was a short part, but it was really. I still feel like it's important to show his mindset.
Yes.
And on the whole thing that the party splitting here, those that aren't gifted are going they're going in one group, the ones that are in the other group, and they're setting up for future things. All these things I need to be set up for, because these people are smart.
Yeah.
They know things won't always go their way, and so they're making backup plans, and they do it in such a natural way. To me, I feel like it's natural that I really enjoy.
And that's the one thing that as we've gotten through this book, yes, we've covered a lot of stuff really quickly, and actually now that we finished up Davian's stuff, in one second I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is what Davian had to do. He had to cover so much information in so little time.
Yep.
And that's what I felt like we just did, was we covered a ton of information in very little time. Just concise, straight to the point.
Yeah. And it makes sense, and it worked really well, and the way they did it worked really well. I am Kaden.
Oh, bro, I have theories. Well, we'll get to those theories at the end here.
Okay.
But, bro.
I'm just a quick synopsis of everything that happened. They run into another one of the Shoteth.
Yeah.
And Caden goes to stop it, and it defends against him. And after that, they end up having kind of a battle back and forth, and then it's revealed that Caden is an augur, and he uses the augur abilities to protect everyone because they would have been killed. And then he is able to kill the Shoteth, which is revealed to be human.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Well, it's like the Shoteth, it's very much, I believe, to be, and this is a theory work going on here. It probably is answered, but it's a theory at this point for us. That the Shoteth are humans that have been mutated or have been like genetically modified in some way, shape, or form.
So here's something for you, just a little theory thought.
Okay.
I know we're getting theories later. I can't not right now.
Uh,
I'm sorry, I have to.
One of the theories is towards the end because it's after we cover all this information. This one I feel is like more prevalent to right
Okay.
here. So if you have a theory that's more prevalent to what's here, let's go for it. But I'm talking, mine is like, okay, we need to discuss uh Caden and then discuss oh my gosh, I am so tired. I can't remember the main guy's name. Davian. I
Oh,
was gonna say
David, yeah.
Dresrian.
Okay. Yeah, so mine's just about the origins of the Shoteth.
hmm
Shadows that have been
Oh.
given magic again. Basically, the essence again.
Uh, well, as we learn with Asha, maybe.
Because she's just
Hmm.
using those items. But what if this is what the shadows truly are? Or not the shadows, but the
Shateth.
Shoteth are. And that the leader of the shadows is one of those.
Ooh, that's a fun theory. I like that theory.
I don't think that part's true,
It's a
but
fun
I
theory.
think it's kind of, yeah.
But
Yeah, so that's just my thought on that.
but then the conversation he had, I will
Yes.
reference that when we get to the theory, to that theory.
Sounds good. Anything else with Caden that you want to talk about now?
Uh,
About the fight, about
like
the
Caden's super sussy, but I like it.
why?
Just cause like again, we already know why he's sus, just cause he's Talcamar.
Yes.
But and this is where I love this. His actions, what he does, make sense. Like he's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not going to make any assumptions. I'm not going to jump to conclusions. I'm going to tell you what you need to know. So when he tells Terrace that yes, it said it had killed him, when I asked him who it meant, it just acted disappointed that I didn't know. Cuz
Yep.
he's telling the truth, but that's all he needs to tell Terrace.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, that's cool."
I agree. This is one of the things I love that James Islington does.
Mhm.
The characters are so human. They're so relatable. What they do is things that these characters would do.
Mhm.
They stick to it. He writes characters very well.
Yeah, he does. Like the characters I do want to get more into their backstories, and this is where in a lot of other fantasy books we're given like Kaladin's deep backstory, Shallan's backstory, Dalinar's deep backstory. I want that, but for what we're doing for our first book, this makes perfect sense, and I love it. I'm rolling with it.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get more before the end. That's probably going to be the big reveal at the end is Talcamar is passed.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just excited to get there and enjoying the ride.
Ooh, and actually, yeah, once we get to there, there's a point we can reference now.
Yes.
Okay, so that's kind of it for that.
Asha.
Asha, this one was interesting. Like, to be honest, at this point, we could be done with Asha. We really could.
Yeah?
Like, other than the fact that she's part of the shadow, like she's trying to unlock the stuff with the shadows. Yeah, at this point, like her main arc, her main revenge, her justice story, kind of got to an end there.
That's fair. She did. She had a really great arc, and that first arc part, like you're talking about, did come to an end.
Mm-hmm.
So last time we left off with her saying she wants to regain her memories, and she does.
Yep.
She regains them. She learns that I can never remember his name.
Ilseth?
Ilseth. Yeah, Ilseth.
Yeah, Ilseth.
I'm gonna say Islith. Whoops. So Ilseth, what he did, and I loved the way that she confronted him. Personal preference. I don't really care for the writing style in this particular case.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like a TV show.
Yeah, well, I agree 100%.
Where here's what we're gonna do, cuts out, goes to it, so you don't know what's happening. It's a story point. It works really well. it's just cliche, I guess, and feels. I don't know, it wasn't my favorite, but I respect that's how he did it, and it does work. He did a good job with it.
Yeah, I'm happy. In one respects, like I'm happy we got to this point, but it reminds me of a Sonic meme. I
Yeah.
believe it's like Sonic. I can't remember which one it is. Sonic Boom. It shows Sonic and the alligator out on a stakeout, and Sonic's complaining. He's like, "Oh, we've been here for hours." And the gator pops up. He's like, "Well, this isn't like the TV show where they say 2 lines of dialogue, and then the guy shows up." And the Sonic goes, "Oh, there he is."
That's yeah.
That's this chapter for Asha,
That really
because
is.
she's just like, "Here's the plan," and then it goes to the plan.
Execute the plan. Plan falls apart.
Expect the pan to go off the rails. Throw away the plan. But that's really what happened in this chapter, and yeah,
Yeah,
ill said, face of justice. I did like the way they did it with the cloaking. That made it really sneaky.
they did, and I was trying to figure out how she was gonna reveal what they were saying.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I thought that was really cool how they did it because I forgot about the veil because it's just been so long.
Mm-hmm.
So watching or reading it, watching it, it's a movie in my mind.
It's a movie in our minds, yeah.
Yeah. But reading it, I was really excited. I was like, hey, is she going to record this somehow? Like, how is she going to reveal this? And then the guy steps out. And like, that's how the veil. So smart. They glossed over things that didn't need to be said. You already know the conversation they had based on 2 lines of dialogue. That's a part I really do like that he does.
Mm-hmm.
Is he skips over unnecessary conversations, like the necessary ones, but he just references them later on. So Asha with the other elder, where he sees him, and like once he takes off the veil and just goes, "I defended you to her when she came to me with this allegation."
Yeah.
And that's all he needed to say. And she went there, told him, he defended it. He said, "Well, let's prove it." The conversation.
Yeah.
Just with 1 line of dialogue.
And again, I like how, again, this is one thing that I love with fantasy. Is fantasy, yes, you're going to get a lot of exposition, but once you know the exposition, it cuts out all the legwork. Like, you are there in the universe. Now they can say stuff and you can follow it with them in the world. And that is a great example of what we just saw in this Asha chapter. Is he just said, "Oh, and there's the veil," and we all knew from that. It's like, "Oh, that's what the veil is." It's
Yeah.
it's like, for how thick these fantasy books are, the thick part is like is teaching you the way of the world, and then they will go, "Okay, once you know the way of the world, here we go, let's go."
Yeah. And one of the things I loved is that I know it's not the actual end, but like to the end of the story arc,
Mm-hmm.
that the veil and them getting I didn't realize that at the time, and that's why it's done so well in this. But it's a Chekhov's gun. It's a thing they set up earlier on
Mm-hmm.
at the start of her time with them, that came back at the end of this arc to play such a major piece in it all.
Oh yeah.
And it's just something in the background. It's just, hey, we found this. We're going to use this to save you, but it's not. It doesn't feel like this key feature. It's just, this is a convenient thing to use right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then it comes back later as such an essential thing to condemn him for his crimes.
Yeah, it's done so well. It's done fantastic. Okay. Anything else on the Asha chapters? On the Asha chapter,
Nope.
I should say.
Davian.
Davian. All right, let's get to the meat of this, of these chapters.
Good.
Which, dude, oh my gosh, I was enthralled in these chapters. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so good.
Well, it reveals so many abilities of the augurs and so many things that are just really cool. and powerful, and you're and it's so exciting where it's all this new knowledge. You're like, oh, how is this going to come into play later? He just learned to do this. Oh, what about this? How is control going to be used? That's how.
Dude, and for me, I love how we see the arrogance that Davian gets once he's like, I can do this,
Mhm.
I can do this. And then this is the one thing I do love in story narratives when they do this is like takes the arrogance and knocks him down a peg.
Yes, 100% agree.
And I love that in chapter 36 where they go explain you begin seeing the way how Khan works and the explanation of it, and you can tell that he's invested in it's like, okay, how do you do this? How do you do that? How do you do this? How do you do that?
Yo,
And this is the one actually, we'll get to that once we actually get to that chapter point, but I love how they explain Davian's willingness to go along with all this.
enlighten us.
Okay, so this is actually gonna be was it chapter 39? Was it the last chapter? Yeah, it was
Yeah,
last
39.
chapter because it's right before he gets sent back to his time. So when Davian gets there, Melshash actually puts on him kind of a control.
Yep.
And instead he's just like, you were controlling me. He's like, no, 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 no. I was advising you. I was giving you the nudge in the right direction because you would have so many freaking questions. We would not be able to get everything covered. So I influenced you to stay
He's
focused.
an
And
influencer.
he's an influencer.
I'm sorry. I've been waiting since I read that to make that joke.
He influenced you to stay on task.
Oh, that every teacher had that ability.
Oh, dude.
I would have done even better in
I
school.
might have actually gotten A's in school. In high school. College, I did get A's.
Yeah,
Well, most recent college, I got A's.
round two.
Round 1, no. Round 2, yes. 3.94 GPA.
Way to go.
Anyway. But yeah, I loved how they did that. And because that was the one beef I had is just like, he literally just shows up here and he's immediately going along with this. Like, in my mind's eye, is like narrative wise, I understand because we have to cover so much information so quickly. And then he uses that train of thinking almost against me. He's like, that's what you're doing with this book. I'm covering a lot of information very quickly. To where we feel like Davian in his time here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. It just is done so well. And that was such a great twist for me. That, because it felt like Davian, and he even knows, he's like, I'm picking this up so great. I am so awesome. Like, I've studied, I'm doing so great. And he's like, bro, no one could have done this without help. You're good, but it's because I helped you.
It's because I was being the influencer that I am.
Yup.
Which,
Oh man, it was so great. It was a great way to knock him down a peg, but at the same time, I love that it. So this is a way that props to Davian. He took it further than even the Malshash expected.
yeah, I think
And
Melchas
go
is
ahead.
like, dang, I took a calculated risk, but dang, was I off?
Yup. I created a monster.
It's like Castle Bravo. Sorry, I've been watching a lot of nuke documentaries lately.
I'm guessing you've seen Oppenheimer then?
No, I haven't actually.
Well, if you want to see something funny about nukes, check out Brandon Herrera's channel. He just talked about how the U.S. accidentally dropped a few nukes on a couple states and countries
Gosh dang.
that got very lucky they didn't go off.
Oh, I think I remember reading that in the news somewhere.
Yeah, it was years and years ago. It was during the Cold War.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
but
okay. I remember. Okay, I remember the news article with that. But no, like Castle Bravo, how they designed it to only actually explode in an X amount of radius, and it got bigger. That's what Malchus did with Davian. He's like, I was planning on this, but you exceeded my expectations, and it might be catastrophic.
And that's actually one of the things I want to talk about. Is so starting at the beginning, he was showing Davian how to enter someone's mind and how to defend against it.
Yes.
And just before he reveals that he was used the control to help him and help him learn, Davian, he gets so focused on being able to learn that he's just like, well, wouldn't there be a way to overcome someone's mind? Like, it shouldn't be that simple, just defend. I should be able to open their mind. And he goes, I picture myself inside of this in front of this locked box, and I open it. And he opens it and reveals the deep, dark secret of Malchus, or one of them. I have theories, but one of them. And I thought that was so cool.
And this is when I'm like, he can go Sanderson level character depth. When we got that story with Malchus, I was like, got it right here. This is how he can do like a Dalinar Kaladin backstory. This is how. He's got the proof right here. This is where I feel like up to this point, yes, we've been running like a madman through this story, and now we're like, okay, we're at the meat of it. Let's go.
Yup. And I love that. It was so powerful, and it just, you just feel like you're faster paced. You're getting to the climax of the story. You are right there, and it's all building up, and you don't know exactly what's being built up to though, and that's what's so exciting. I know that we're gonna start facing off against like the
Shateth?
what are they called? No,
the blind ones?
Blind ones, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We're gonna get to that battle. We know that Caden getting to Ilan, that's gonna be a climax part, and there's gonna be something with the leader of the shadows. That's gonna be a climax piece. So there's like 3 different ones, but I feel like there's something unifying that's going to happen, and I don't know what.
Okay, so do you want to hear one of my theories?
Yes.
This is the one I'm excited about because as I'm looking at it, I can kind of see it. Malchus is Caden / Talcamar.
Oh.
Because as we got with,
I didn't think of that.
Yeah, no, the thought came to me like after reading it. I was taking care of business, and I was just like, oh, because we're told Caden wiped out an entire city. And he gets a memory of just like somebody saying, like, is that something I would do? And he goes, and the friend goes, yes. If you had a reason.
Not without a reason.
But not without a reason. And I feel like that is also Davian under like a different name, although that one I'm not 100% certain on. But definitely feeling like Malchus could be Caden. Malchus is just another name Caden is using. Because this is where time travel gets so freaking wonky. It's just this timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly.
See, my theory with it is right at the end, Davian, he asked him, where is it? I want to get it right because it's a name. Where'd he go? So Davian asks him if the great evil that twisted the augur's minds, if it was a specific person who was considered like he was the one that led the war the last time.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, I have to find it. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm just laughing at something because I'm like, I love how we're talking about all this, but we're forgetting kind of like one little Easter egg he dropped in that's like, oh, I want you to be curious about this.
What one?
When Davian shapeshifted.
Yes.
Like, who was it that he killed that gave Malchus that kind of reaction?
That's the thing that I was thinking about. That's one of the things I was thinking about as well. Actually, that was where I was going to go next.
Okay.
But maybe it was before he did that. I will find it.
But no, I definitely felt like at the end of chapter 39 that the pace has now changed.
I agree. I definitely agree. It's sped up. Things are definitely ramping up to a much more exciting pace and exciting times.
Mm-hmm. Well, considering we only have, okay, let's see, we're on chapter 40. How many chapters are there? 55? Oh, 54. Dang, yeah.
Yeah, we're getting close.
Yeah, about 14, 15 chapters left. So we got 3 more episodes of
A book club
book.
before we get the next one.
Yep, before we get on to the next one.
I can't find it. I am literally back in chapter, like, I went back to 35
Okay.
because I can't find it. I
What are you
am
looking for?
basically, they're, oh, it is 35.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. Talks about that. Not believing out. Let's see more.
Talking about L?
No, it's after he talks about L.
Okay.
And there it is. So Davian frowned. You said an ancient power, a malevolent power. Were you talking about Archine Deveid?
Oh, good catch.
Malshash grimaced. No. He really exists, though. Davian shuffled his feet nervously. He's still alive after all this time. Malshash chuckled, though the sound was humorless. Oh, yes. He's very much alive. He is Archine Deveid.
Okay.
That was my theory with it, but that could also be Tal Kamar.
Yeah.
It could all be the same person, different names throughout history.
Which actually, since you brought that up, I caught this one. That's why I said, "Oh, good catch." What was the tome that he grabbed from the shelf when he got back to his modern time?
Fantasy is the fairy tales.
A collection of Dacian fables.
Fables.
And wasn't that the Dacian ancient? Isn't that what he just said? Okay, wait.
An ancient power.
Yeah, ancient power. It's okay. Arcane David. Okay, I saw David.
Deveid.
David. Yeah.
And no, so they're actually not the
Not
same.
the same.
So
Okay.
Talcamar.
Okay.
So at the introduction, I went back to that.
Okay.
Talcamar is going where Archine Deveid cannot follow.
Okay.
And so it's a line. So they are two separate beings. But so Talcamar is one, Archine Deveid is another. I think this one is Archine Deveid, personally. And then Talcamar is Caden, as we know.
Yeah. But
I do want him to be Talcamar. That would be so great.
I would love to Malshas to be Talcamar because that would explain some things. Or if not, if anything, what this told us is how Caden was able to wipe out an entire village.
Oh yeah. Well, Caden has the same ability that Talcamar or as I am. Malshash.
Yeah.
They both can do that.
I know, and that's what I was trying to reference. Is like this just shows us on how he did it. Like they both have, they're both of the same level, like caliber.
Yes. 100%.
But now, reason why I was like, oh, maybe this is Tal Kamar, is because it's also like the last words he tells him. It's like that it was worth it. It changed me, and I am so very sorry.
Yeah.
Because that could be what he does to Caden.
He kills Caden by doing that?
Oh no, like Caden, like Caden's gonna do something that it changes him. Or maybe okay.
What?
Sorry. The gears are working right now. Very slowly. The
You're good.
cobwebs are cutting off and the gerbil's getting on its wheel. I'm thinking that Davian at one point went back in time, back to that moment, wiped his memory, Melshash's memory, aka Caden, and brought him to that time period.
But then how would he remember that now and tell him?
Because this is why
Sorry.
time travel is so wonky, because we could be talking about Melshash from the future who's experienced all of this, who's had to wait for Davian to show up.
Yeah, it's true. But he also hints that he knows things about Davian's future that he didn't tell him. And he just knows what's going to happen to him. And so I think in the future something's going to happen.
Yeah, because Melshash was there because he's Caden.
We'll see. So you're gonna say he's Telkamar. I'm gonna say that he's Arcane.
Yeah.
Arcane.
Devaid.
Devaid.
Yeah.
I'm saying he's Devaid. That's gonna be R2. We'll find out who's right and who is dead.
Hey, we're not killing each other over this.
Speak for yourself.
Unless you're committing suicide.
But I think that is a good spot to put a bookmark in it.
Yeah. Good place to put a bookmark in this. Any other thoughts you have on this before we close the book up with the bookmark till next time?
No, I'm pretty good, and I'm excited for us to continue reading.
All right, me too, man. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning into Tomes. We'll catch you guys on the next book club for this.
Have a great one.
Bye.